Welcome to Ultra Q, episode 5. I am Red. I'm joined by Mel.
Hello.
And by Razan.
Tonight on the Unbalanced Zone, what's really flying over?
No.
It has returned. The bit is coming back.
I'm not going to do it 3 times in a row, I promise.
That will... I don't know that I believe you, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have to send you to Dragon Palace if you...
This is going to coalesce where we have an episode of the Unbalanced Zone where the Thunderbirds come on.
Yeah. Well, I'm now at 3 episodes in which I've talked about Thunderbirds. We will get to 4. Well, this is the 4th one.
Oh shit! There we go.
I'm glad we have at least 2 bits within 5 to 6 episodes already.
It's only bits if the Thunderbirds thing is only a bit if someone notices it and then suddenly I get self-conscious about it, which is what happened. Thunderbirds is Toku. It counts.
True.
Doctor
Who and Star Trek are also Toku.
I still barely know what Thunderbirds is, and I kind of feel like it's better if I don't really look it up.
Oh my god, that's so funny to me. I didn't think that was possible. Oh wow. Thunderbirds is pretty good. It's puppets flying rescue machines. So basically every time there's a prop, every time there's the model train set from last week, I'm just like, wow, that's Thunderbirds. That's gonna break, and someone's gonna have to rescue them.
Oh man, if you like model planes, let me tell you about Future Ultraman.
Oh, excellent!
Ooh,
fantastic! Oh, now I'm really stoked for Ultraman. Oh, I was just expecting the big guy in a suit, but now
No, he's got a team.
He's got a team.
Usually there's a team. There's a team of guys, and we'll get into that in the future.
Multiple times. Yes, multiple times. For now, we have Ultra Q, which we will get into in a bit. For now, first of all, I just want to say, last week, I talked about how there's that John Woo Redcliffe movie about a battle in Romance of the Three Kingdoms that I wasn't sure whether I could watch it yet because I haven't finished the books, but I have read the battle. I still didn't know, but I did watch it anyway because I had to. It was fine.
Okay.
It was fine. It was basically Three Kingdoms fanfic. It was amazing. I'm not gonna talk about it much because talking about it requires talking about the Battle of Red Cliffs. But
yeah, I haven't read as much this week as I would have liked, but yeah.
I will say I'm on the precipice of joining y'all on this Romance of the Three Kingdoms exercise.
It's a long exercise.
All right. Stay tuned in 3 months when we do the Romance of the Three Kingdoms spoiler cast.
Oh no. There is only so many weeks in a row that I can say, Three Kingdoms was sick this week. Come back next week.
Yeah, I'm still at chapter 17. I've been trying to read 1 chapter a day, but sometimes I just don't because I'm busy.
Yeah, it's the chapters are vary, but they can be long.
They can be.
Yeah. I really like Redcliffe. I sat down to watch part 1, fully intending to watch part 2 the next day. And I finished and was like, well, I have to watch part 2 now. I just have to do it. I have to just sit 5 hours straight and watch all of it. And I did, and it was amazing.
When I think about it, I think like instantly I started this year watching a John Woo movie, and I don't know if I've seen any others, but I did watch the Face Off earlier this year. Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that Face Off and Red Cliff, not quite the same vibe. I haven't seen Face Off yet though. You never know.
Face Off is a time, let me tell you.
Face Off is really good in a time, though it also is a bit long.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Well, I do like watching ridiculous movies.
It's about a movie about the two of the most ridiculous guys.
And
they fight.
I know.
And they also pretend to be each other. So
yeah, it does sound really fun.
Yet like John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage pretending to be John Travolta. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah. It's good. It's like the thing I think of is like there's a Dragon Ball guys who switch. They switch spots. They switch like spirit.
Captain Ginyu.
Yeah. That's the one. And voice actors like playing each other is always very fun.
Yeah.
I have not watched. Well, I've watched other things. I've read other things. Nothing really interesting.
Yeah. I was gonna say like, dang, we sure are like halfway through Nanoha Strikers, but maybe we can save that for later when we're done it.
When we know whether it's good or not.
Go
ahead.
There are interesting choices in the direction it takes, and I don't know if I feel like I'm in theory neutral / intrigued by the ideas when I started the show, but the execution is
Yeah, I am big time team this sucks. I'm not having a great time. There's been a couple of episodes in the middle there where Strikers makes some decisions, but we'll finish the show soon, and we'll talk about it. But yeah. Otherwise, I don't have much.
I am disappointed that they have that this happens when the lead character is like a magical girl with a big fist and rollerblades.
That is like just good. She does just do like cool. She's a magical girl who is a scope dog.
Yeah, she can't fly like the other girls, so she makes roads for herself.
I have questions about this.
She has So she has. There's like a gimmick that gets introduced in like the second Nanoha series, which is because the magical girl powers are all like mechanical devices that also have a soul, and one of the gimmicks is that they can have installed like a cartridge system, which is you load in extra magic
in the form of bullets.
That you then eject, and like loads of steam comes out, and it looks really cool. And so Nanoha Strikers introduces new, like, supposedly main girl kind of.
Like Shinasuka.
Yeah, like, yes. Like, see Destiny's Shinasuka. Supposedly main girl who has, like,
I really thought we could escape See Destiny on this podcast. I thought I was safe.
Also, it is very important to stress that it's See Destiny Shinasuka. I will just leave that there and not explain it. Anyway, continue.
Okay. I don't know of any other... Okay. But yes, the main girl from Strikers, she's got the gauntlet that she can eject cartridges out of. And she also has rollerblades, like magical rollerblades. And so she's just doing scope dogs, like zipping around doing spins with the scope dog's punches.
Yeah, and like of course she loads bullets into her gun arm.
It's so good. And then the show isn't actually all that. So
it's weird because also like ostensibly like they are magical girls, but it doesn't feel like a magical girl show. If that makes sense.
Yeah, they tried to put together section 9, and now it just the vibe is all different.
Yeah, it's like it's more like a cop mecha show in vibes in a way.
And here's the thing. There are magical girl shows where those girls are just cops and I like them. I like Symphogear a lot.
And Symphogear does feel more like a magical girl show.
Yeah.
Even me being controversial, maybe even Licorice Recoil feels more like a magical. Anyway.
This is the second week in a row you've made this controversial statement.
I have. I'm just saying if you just made it so they had magic, then it would count.
Yeah. But yeah, Striker's making the mistake of I say mistake. Basically, you know how magical girls are all children and they can't be adults? But what if they could be adults? That sounds like it's good. That sounds like a fun time. Like that sounds interesting.
Oh, you mean like?
Unfortunately, what if they were Tomino adults?
Hey, what if there was an adult magic girl? Oh, you mean like Hirogar Precure?
Well, yeah, that's coming up.
That is coming up. Dream bigger.
Dream bigger than Strikers,
I've definitely
which is like
seen people like in more reductive takes be like, oh, magic girls and mecha are like similar in a lot of ways because you transform kind of in a way and possess a different body. Mm-hmm. But I've also heard the argument in the opposite direction of like, well, they're about different things. And when I watch Nanoha Strikers be like a magic girl show but doesn't feel like one, I'm like, oh, I see what they mean by like mecha and magical girls are like about different things, even if there's like a way you can draw a parallel between them.
Yeah. I don't think it was a good idea to make Nanoha like bright Noah, but well.
Like if instead of
well, it'll in about like a week or maybe 2 we'll have finished the show and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, it depends on if we just neglect to watch episodes some days. Like I have I skipped 2 days in a row, 3 days maybe, I don't know.
I skipped several. Yeah, there's a couple of egregious episodes there, like 8 and 9. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I think
but
last
we will see.
Last one I saw was like episode 10, and it was like, hey, this is the hangout episode. And I was like, well,
you can't do that anymore.
You didn't earn this. You didn't. It's like a breath of fresh air to actually have this in an essentially magical girl show, but also you didn't actually do that in the episode. So okay.
Signum punched that girl in the face. You can't do that anyway. That is enough about Strikers. Yeah. Oh well. I guess we end up talking about it anyway. We did. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Go ahead now.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. What the fuck are we doing? Okay, yeah. So I did start something else this week, but also I am halfway through that, and I feel like I'll be done it by this time next week, so maybe I'll hold on to it for now. But I will say it's a better show. So, secrets held for next week.
Secret better shows?
Yes, secret better shows.
All right. Looking forward to it.
But I finished Mega Man Legends 2 this past week, which I brought up last week. I was halfway through and now I'm done it.
Still kind of the same vibe as last week?
Yeah, it's a weird game. Like I think I enjoyed the game on an overall thing. I do feel like the worst dungeon in the game is the water dungeon where the frame rate is halved. But also, apparently that's fixed in the PSP port that never got released over here. So
there was a PSP port?
There was both Legends games got a Japanese exclusive PSP port, which...
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, and like the PSP port of 2, apparently, like 1 made it so water doesn't make the game 10 times 10th the speed. Important. Also, it rebalanced, like, apparently I think I read that it made the prices cheaper, which I think is important, because I think one complaint I have about these games is like you need to. It's like, hey, I get these upgrades, but also shit, you need to bet a lot of money to buy the upgrades or upgrade your special weapons, which sometimes it feels like you're disincentivized from actually using. Which is like, dang, you give me these cool weapons, but I don't feel like I have an opportunity to use them or an incentive to use them. And you asked me to put $1 bajillion into upgrading them, and so it's like the economy is a bit out of whack. And so I feel like a remake, re-release of these games that like fudges some of the numbers would be good. The latter half of this game has the worst enemy ever designed, which is like a giant homing missile turret robot that has homing missiles that do a bunch of damage, and just are annoying to deal with, and also even they lock on affects them, and so you're trying to shoot the turret, but instead get hit, you have to lock on to the missile, and then it hits you, and then you're just trying to. This turret has like 1 bajillion health and just takes forever to get rid of, and is miserable.
I think you just unlocked a childhood memory that I completely forgot about by describing this enemy.
I encountered this enemy 3 times, and it was one of the most miserable experiences I've had dealing with this thing. Yeah, I have issues with the game's lock-on and camera. Like, the camera in lock-on stuff is better than in the first game, but also I feel like because of that they do dumber things, because it's not like it's perfect either. I don't know, it's complicated. I feel like you can't be too hard on the game because it was of the time, but also it's like, dang, we found a better way, and so it's kind of hard to deal with these clunkier ways of doing it.
It's funny because I feel like when I was younger, I definitely remember liking 2 more, but looking back now, 1 was definitely, like, I remember a lot more of 1 than I do 2.
Yeah, like the thing
which is interesting.
Like, I think like 1 is like homelier, it like worms into your brain more, and like you're living and fully exploring this one location. Like, we got into that last week. The Catalogs Island is like a place you fully inhabit for the duration of like an 8-hour journey, whereas Legends 2 is like maybe 12 hours to do, but it's like,
and like all I can remember is that snow town, you know?
Yeah, it's like the first. It's like the first town. It's like it has like a cool church, and it has like the most easily accessible shop. So it's the one I went to the most. And like most of the other islands, they're like small and like don't have a lot of. Like, you're not there for a while. You're not exploring these places. And you're jumping to other places, and none of these places are like fully fleshed out. Like, they have character, and there's niceness in like the diversity of locations. Like, there's a desert town. There's like the jungle island with a jungle temple. There's like the water temple is like at like this island like rig in the middle of the ocean, and it's just like a tower, and it's kind of cool. There's like cool stuff like that, but like each place is like there's only so much of it, and they're not like fully fleshed out as locations. And there's like attempts to like to have people there, but it's like not as fleshed out a place as like the one place you explore and spend a lot of time in one. There's like obviously mechanical improvements, but also some additions that feel like annoying. Like there's like status effect damage where you get burn and then you're just like taking damage over time and you don't know how to get rid of it. There's these dumb traps which you accidentally stand on, and it's like, how was I supposed to know that's there? There's like the final dungeon is interesting because it feels like a real dungeon in the sense of the term. For like sometimes it's obnoxious, where it's like these annoying enemies are obnoxious, but there's something interesting about like how it's long enough that they actually give you a shortcut. Like, you unlock a shortcut halfway through so you can return to, and I think that's interesting. Like, it definitely feels like a dungeon of, oh, this is you using all of your resources, and then you get unlock a shortcut and you come back, etc. So that's interesting from that perspective. The game is also weird because like the first game is like kind of jolly and fun, and like there's moments of like tension and moments of like, whoa, there's a secret to this world that we're uncovering in the 11th hour. I wonder what that's about. And meanwhile, I feel like that's more in the forefront of 2, and like it feels like it's like not like it's like a more depressing game, but also it just like feels less jolly and bright, and also the bonds aren't as much of a presence, which is a shame because they're the best. Like, they're still a presence obviously, but like less so. Like, they aren't as all-encompassing, because like the bonds are like ubiquitous in the first game in a way that they aren't in the second.
Yeah.
I can also talk about the ending. So, spoilers for the 2000 PS1 video game Mega Man Legends 2. So, as I talked about last week, I got into Mega Man like in 2009. I got into it with like Mega Man 11. No, 9. What the fuck am I saying? Yeah, Mega Man 9.
Switch the eye.
Yeah, so Mega Man 9, I got into it, and I was like, oh, Mega Man's cool. I got into Mega Man. And then, 2011 was the year where they had the big campaign of, oh, we're going to bring back Mega Man Legends 3 for the 3DS. And then it got canceled along with a billion other things, and then Mega Man was
Rest
dead.
in peace, Mario Maker, but for Mega Man, before Mario Maker
Mega Man
even existed.
Universe. There was another one that was like a Mega Man Online that was going to be a crossover between X and Classic, and that looked insane. But it was like an MMO, and no wonder it didn't get off the ground. But like I remember, it was interesting. But yeah, so like Legends 3 was like the high profile thing, and like, okay, so now this is the part where I get into spoilers. The end of Mega Man Legends 2, he beats the final boss, and then he's like stuck on the moon with the final boss and the like lady who looks like Roll's mom, who is sort of like a guide-ish person throughout the game, and so they're just kind of like there because like, hey, we don't have a way to get back, and so during the Legends 3 campaign, everyone was like, oh man, there was such a cliffhanger at the end of 2. How are we going to get to Mega Man off the moon? That's what this is all about. We gotta continue the story, gotta bring back the series to get Mega Man off the moon. And like the way this was framed to me for like these past like 10 or so years is like, oh, like there's just like a sadder, tragic ending where Mega Man like saves the day, but at the cost of being stuck on the moon. And how will he escape? What will everyone do? But tonally, the scene is just like, oh, we're stuck here. I guess we'll get back someday. They'll get to us. And then the cliff.
That is so funny to me.
And then the ending clip, the scene after the credits, is everyone like working together to build a rocket, and it blows up. And they're just like, it didn't work this time. What are we gonna do? Well, it's okay. We'll try again. And it's just like the vibe is just totally off from what I expected. Like I was expecting like an actual cliffhanger, like to be continued, where how is Mega Man going to be off the moon? And it's like, no, he's fine. He's fine, yeah. And he's gonna be back next time.
It's just a wacky Saturday morning cartoon ending. Yeah,
it's just like he'll be back, and it won't. It just felt like the intention was if they made a third game, he'd like come back, and like maybe it'd be like a thing they do in the start, but it just wasn't a thing that they'd actually address the next time.
Hey, and remember when you were stuck on the moon? Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. It's just like the way it was like help save Mega Man from the moon. It's like, yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to like get a new game and get him off the moon and have an adventure. And like the new characters they created for the Legends 3 demo and stuff looked cool. And I would like to see a new adventure and maybe one more like the first game. Maybe less emphasis on the secret of the world, especially because I feel like Legends 2 really like milked that well dry. And now in a way, like, it does feel like if they made a third game, I wouldn't know what they'd have to do from a lore perspective. So in a way, like Legend 2 isn't terrible as a way to end it, but it is sort of just like, it is not the ending that people talked about, and like it's not cliffhanger. What the fuck?
It is the most fandom brain thing I have heard in a while that I've never thought about. Of like, I played that game as a kid and like beat it or whatever, and like I just. It's just been in the back of my mind or whatever. It's like, yeah, Mega Man Legends 2, they're on the moon or whatever at the end. But the idea that off on the internet there are people that are like, oh, this tragic cliffhanger, like...
Yeah, I don't know if...
I see how people get there, and it's so funny to me.
Yeah, like... I think it's
Mega
like...
Man Legends 2 sequel, Kerbal Space Program.
Yeah,
Oh, if you did that with like the little serve bots, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. That reminds me, Master Adventures of Tron Bonne is also a fun but frustrating game, but I did play that before Legends 2. I won't get into it too much, but it is a fun game where you just do odd jobs with Tron Bonne to raise money with our serve bots. But
I need to download that again. I played a little bit of it a few years back.
It's kind of frustrating because like you do a lot of the same mission over and over again, and there's like a formula, and it gets kind of tiring at the end. But it's kind of just cool mechanics of like Mega Man Legends mechanics, but with like the Gustav mech, and then you also kind of like a Pikmin style of like just launching serve bots at enemies, and there is charm to be had in this game. But yeah, Legends. Yeah, also just since I mentioned the Legends 3 demo, I am extremely disappointed that like when Capcom had that big hack a few years back, no, they didn't get that demo. That would have been nice.
That would have been cool.
Not that I am condoning people go hack Capcom again, but I'm just saying If anyone
You
ever
didn't
does
do a good enough job.
you didn't do a good job. Get the fucking 3S demo. We want to play it. I think like one person apparently like played it once behind closed doors in 2011, and then it just never saw the light of day again, even though they're going to publish it on the eShop. I don't know. That was a weird time.
We had like a really good streak of massive data breaches with video game companies for a bit there. I'm sad it didn't keep going.
Like,
you got some good shit out of it.
Like Nintendo, you get entire fucking PC ports of N64 classics, and you can't even get the Legends 3 demo from Capcom. Come on, what's wrong with you?
Step up your game.
Yeah, I am extremely looking forward to, in not the immediate, but in the near future, starting Battle Network, because that's the other like big white whale in terms of me being a Mega Man fan and not touching that side of the franchise much at all. Like I played like portions of 2 and 5 at different times, but I'm looking forward to going through that series this year. I want to go through it, make that, because like the collection's coming out. I'm not going to play 1 on the collection. I'm going to play the DS remake because that has quality of life features that make the game actually good. But anyway.
Did I tell you how owned I got with the Battle Network stuff?
No.
Tell us.
So, the Wii U and 3DS shops are closing down or whatever, and like you just fucking hack your things and download some ROMs and shit, it's fine. But, that being said, every now and again, those games do get edited to like work better or include shit on those services, and it's a crapshoot whether or not people go in and actually like dump those versions of the ROMs. Specifically, the Wii U Virtual Console releases of the Battle Network games edit the game so that all of the stuff that you normally have to get through multiplayer and like link cable shit, they just made single player content. And it seemed like nobody had dumped those, so I was like, oh fuck, I might as well buy these then before the fucking Wii U eShop closes. So I spent way too much money buying all that stuff, and then literally a week and a half later, Capcom was like, oh yeah, Battle Network Collection, and it seems like those versions of the games are in the collection.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I got owned. But,
yeah, from my understanding, it's like, they're also just like, they're using the Japanese versions as the base, so like, the Boktai stuff that was removed in like the US releases are just going to be in the Battle releases. I'm still like, some games I might not play in the collection version, specifically, like one, I'm going to play the DS remake, because the one in the collection is based off the GBA, and so it doesn't have like the quality of life features. But I may see about 5 as well, because 5 had a weird DS release that was like, had both versions on the cart and also changed some stuff. So I'm going to wait until the collection comes out and see what people who know about the franchise think, because I don't know, maybe the DS version will be worth playing over the ones in the collection.
Yeah,
but like,
I only ever played the first game of those.
Yeah. Apparently every other one is better.
That's also what I have a friend who's really into Battle Network High Trick. You're not listening to this, but yeah, I've been told that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've heard even a lot of people say like, if you really want, you can start with 2. You're not.
That's the reason why I played like half of 2 originally, because they was like, oh, just skip 1 and 2 is fine. And I did enjoy what I played of 2, but it was like on a phone emulator like in 2014. So you know.
The ideal way to experience Game Boy Advance games.
I'll do remake of 1 on the DS, and then I'll play 2, 3, and 4 on the collection. And then I'll see about 5, and then I'll play 6 in the collection. But I'm gonna see, because I'm curious about like how the, like, because there's gonna be multiplayer stuff and network connectivity on the Legacy Collection, which I'm interested in, because I'm interested in also checking out the PVC, because that fascinates me as just like, oh, there's like a Mega Man RPG basically fighting game scene, and that's crazy to me. And I think the hardest thing will just be like, hey, pick a version, fucker, because after halfway through they start being like, hey, what if we did the Pokemon thing? But like, it feels weird for a game where it's like a linear story, and so the way they do it is like, hey, the characters you deal with are just different between versions.
Oh no.
And and that also changes like what forms Mega Man gets, and so it's like so
I already get version anxiety about games that were made one way originally. Like,
yeah.
Well, I've also heard with some of those games there are people that are like, oh, this one has the more interesting characters, but the actual gameplay chips in this version aren't as good.
Yeah,
like, I've heard shit like that too, and it's like, Jesus,
like,
we need to stop.
Like for Battle Network 3, I know that like there's white version and blue version. That one's complicated by like white version being the original version, and then blue version was in Japan. They made a bug updated bug fix version called black version, and then in the US they just made them two versions. And for whatever reason, the original version of Battle Arc 3, the white version, had like a ground style form, and then the updated one had like the shadow style form, and then that just means that there's version exclusive forms, and then like Battle Arc 4 is like, here's the souls where Mega Man can gain the powers of other friends, and that's cool, but like it's different guys for each version, and that's the same for 5 and 6. And also 5 and 6, in 6 you can either be a bird or a wolf guy, and it's decisions.
That's I don't envy you.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I have been told that like the apparently the one version of 5 is canon and a bit better than the other one, and so maybe that leans me in the other way. But on the other hand, but also the lead character for the other version is I have a bias towards because of my tastes.
Okay.
Which is to say, I think Proto Man and Zero are cool. So
yeah, they are.
So I'm like, oh, the Colonel version is the best version, but I like Proto Man though. Colonel in X4 is just kind of a funny guy.
Oh, the Colonel's a very funny man. One of my favorite Mega Man antagonists.
He does look cool in Battle Arc 5. I don't know. I'll see. It's confusing. Maybe I'll probably play Colonel version though, because like maybe it depends. Maybe I'll look at which characters and which two. I don't know. It's confusing. If possible, it'd be cool to somehow play both versions at the same time, but that is absurd and ridiculous. But life is full of decisions. Theoretically, I like the idea. I both hate and like the idea of multi-version games, and that's probably because I grew up on Pokemon, but it feels like it works better for some things than others.
Yeah. I already get like weird about like which version of like this Final Fantasy am I going to play?
Which version of Etriados am I going to play?
Yeah.
DM me if you want my hot takes on what version of Final Fantasy 3 is the best one.
Which version of Final Fantasy 6 is the best
one? Well, so here's the thing, actually. I actually don't know anymore because I haven't played the Pixel remaster yet. I think it might be that one though. I need to give that an honest shot. Don't play the DS version of FF3 or like any iteration based on that. That version sucks. They ruined that game.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. So, actually, on that subject, like a week ago, I started the Pixel remaster version of 6. I will not talk about that because it's like too early on though. But I did start it.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, Rosin, did you do anything after this incredibly long tangent about Mega Man?
Yeah, so I have a few things, but in the interest of time, I think I'm just going to keep it to the one.
I mean, you can go on. Like it's.
I don't want to talk about Babylon's Fall.
No, talk about it. You can't.
No. Here's the thing. You can talk about it when you're done.
Yeah.
Okay. That's true.
Yeah.
When you get
there
the platinum.
we go.
Yeah, the one and the first and final word on Babylon's Fall.
True. See, that's the thing, is you're talking about, like, oh, I can't just talk about Romance of the Three Kingdoms every week. I have a time limit for how long I can talk about Babylon's Fall. That game dies in, like, 9 days.
So if you just beat it before the end of the next podcast, it's fine. But also, by the time people listen to it, it'll be like, the game will be dead.
Shush. This is in real time. We're all very prompt.
True.
Of course.
No, but I guess, Part 9 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure started, and even though I am not caught up with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I was like, it's early on enough. I really doubt that there's going to be any big continuity callbacks to shit I haven't gotten through yet. Let me check out the first chapter of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 9. For those of you familiar with JoJo's, this is still taking place in that kind of new rebooted continuity that 7 onward takes place in. Mm-hmm. And like 7 and 8, this is a riff on a previous part. This is a new take on Part 5, which is interesting to me as someone who really did not like Part 5 and thinks it's kind of bad. The first chapter is kind of a mixed bag. I'm overall pretty positive on it, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Again, I'm probably not going to really stick with this week to week because I did not.
It's month
I
to
still
month.
haven't. Well, yes, month to month. That's true.
Yeah.
I have not finished part 7 yet.
You should.
and
Part 7's like the best one.
It's by far the best one.
My favorite is 4, but like 7 is close second. Like 7 is fantastic.
I love 7 a lot. I'm like 3/4 of the way through. I just need to wrap it up.
What I hear about part 8 is that people, that shit was like 10 years of month to month manga. That was impossible to keep up with.
Yeah, I fell off it once, and then I caught up again, and I managed to keep up with it monthly towards the end. But it is weird following a story like that. Like, I read part 1 through 7, like, you marathon it basically, and then 8 was like, after you marathon catching up to it, you kind of just wait for the end of it. And part 8 is a strange one, and I think like the experience of reading it like spread out does affect how you perceive it. But
that's kind of what I'm curious about, because I have a friend who's really into JoJo's and read part 8.
I mean, part 8 is done now, so you can binge it. So which might make it better, but is a interesting part with a weird direction it takes, personally.
Because I have a friend who was keeping up with it and was kind of down on it, and I'm kind of curious, since I have the full thing just in front of me and can go through it, how I will react to it versus his opinion, which would seem to be like being very enveloped in the mystery of it and kind of trying to piece together what was all going on.
Yeah.
Which I can understand how month to month that can kind of become agonizing versus just like, oh, I can just binge this.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how that is bingeable. Extremely bothers me that like JoJo All-Star Battle remake re-release doesn't actually add any Part 8 characters. Like, come on, the manga's fucking done.
That requires effort and work.
They're adding new characters though.
Yes, I know. I still have not played All-Star Battle remake or whatever it's called, because I played that first one.
I've heard it wasn't good. I tried
it was fucking awful.
I tried Heritage of the Future in like Fightcade once, just dicking around. I was like, oh, this feels cool. I wouldn't mind trying
that game rules. If any of you care about fighting game shit listening to this, look up JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Heritage for the Future tandem combos, and you'll see some wild shit on YouTube.
Yeah, I think
the competitive scene for that game is ridiculous.
I love that like some characters have like the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 like dual character cross up thing.
Yeah.
And then some of them just have like custom combos from Alpha series, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, JoJo Part 9. So Part 5 of JoJo's stars a character named Giorno, who is like through some very bizarre circumstances. Bizarre. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. That's the worst. But through very weird circumstances is both the descendant of a former protagonist and a former antagonist. And they might be doing that again. They're a little more on the nose. The main character's name this time around is Jodio, as in Jodio.
All right, pack it up. Let's go on.
That's a little, yeah.
His stand is November Rain, which is very fun because it is literally just like a big looking like War of the Worlds like tripod thing that just shoots out very heavy rain that crushes people.
Nice. Yeah, I still have to read that first chapter of Part 9, but yeah.
It's there is right at the beginning they do some shit that I do not like. They do, just fair warning to anyone checking it out. It starts with cops pulling over the main character and his cross-dressing older brother, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of gender discussion around this character.
Well, that reminds me of stuff in Part 8 a bit.
Yeah. But it begins with a cop doing like a invasive search and just like sexually assaulting someone, and it goes a little too far, in my opinion, and then it goes from there, talking about how these characters are involved in the criminal underworld. Something I do find really fun is that in Part 5, it's all about this group of characters who are gangsters, but they're in the crime scene for the right reasons. They're going to be in charge of the criminal underworld to make sure it's clean and that it's being run well. And then Part 9, immediately, it's like, oh yeah, it's about these two brothers who are actually just running drugs and like beating the shit out of cops, and it's like they do not give a fuck at all. which is just a lot more fun and interesting to me. And I'm curious to see where it goes. I like the main character's design a lot as well. So, yeah.
Nice. Look forward to 30 years of this.
Yeah. I honestly wonder how many more of these he has in him. I feel like either this one or the next one is going to be.
This is going to be a depressing thing to Google. How old is he?
I feel like this is depending if this takes another 10 years. This has to be the last one. Like,
maybe,
yeah. He is 62 years old.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he tries to do a part 10 that is again like a riff on Stone Ocean and then wraps it up there. But these things are getting longer and I think part 8 was the longest running one, right?
Yes.
And part 7 was already ridiculously took forever to come out. So
that's the problem with like making a monthly thing. Like,
yeah,
they're like JoJo. They're still like normal JoJo length stories, but like they're instead of taking like 3 years, they take like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
also, I will say, it's very fucking weird reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and hearing characters be like, hey, don't get your face too close to mine, like COVID.
Yeah.
Or also, oh, do you want to just call an Uber? And I'm like, oh my god.
That is weird.
It is.
This is weird.
It's interesting because like part 8 also is like, it was started and like, it was started in like 2011 and so it like,
yeah, it like dealt with the earthquake and stuff.
Yeah, dealt with the earthquake and stuff. Like it's like the immediate thing, and like in this case, yeah, COVID is like the immediate thing, and so it's interesting because it's like, yeah, I don't know if he's ever been like, I don't know,
current.
Yeah, but also I feel like at some point he got into the future with like Stone Engine or something. So I don't know. Actually, no wait. I think like part 4 and onward are like 5 years in the future at all times.
Yes, because part 4 is set in like 1999, and it's like the early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
He was getting on Y2K early.
It is interesting when you like look at like. I guess because it feels weird because we only got the adaptations like recently, but it's weird to like look at when those like series when those parts were published and then see what else was released at the time. Like, fucking. Like part 4 was like in writing when like Victory and G Gundam were on, and that's weird.
Yeah.
Oh my god, what a time to be alive. Anyway, yeah.
I'm imagining my ideal self getting home from school and watching G Gundam and then washing it down with some Diamond is Unbreakable right after.
Oh man. That's not a huge G Gundam fan, but that does seem like an incredible childhood.
Yes.
All right. Well, if that's if we've cut, we're running quite long.
It's okay. We're allowed to. This happens.
We're allowed to listen. Sometimes you have a Mega Man tangent, and Mega Man is important. It's just that everyone forgot it existed because it's been dead.
No, Capcom forgot it existed. Capcom specifically to this.
By everyone, I mean, of course, the people who should be making Mega Man games.
True.
They should make another one besides 11 and also make it not necessarily just classic again, please.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're going to get into Ultra Q. Before I read the summary on episode 13, I just want to get a quick vibe. How are we feeling about episode 13?
I think I like it.
Oh,
okay.
It's a weird one.
Okay.
I think I enjoyed it at the time I watched it, but now when I reflect on it, I'm like, that's an episode. All right.
This summary might backfire. So episode 13 of Ultra Q is called Garadama. A meteorite falls and emits radio signals. A second bigger meteorite falls and destroys a dam. A big goofy monster comes out of the bigger meteorite. Love this monster, by the way. It is being remote controlled by the smaller meteorite. Scientists block the radio signals, and this defeats the monster. The end.
Yeah, no, that's...
Nothing happens.
Oh, yeah, I feel like I wrote more notes than that, but yeah, I guess that is the long and the short of it.
Like there is stuff in this episode, but it's kind of extraneous. Because the scientists they block the radio waves, and then I just want to start with the monster is great.
Incredible.
just like me.
This
for real.
is like this when I think of like Ultra Series kaiju designs. I feel like this is a quintessential one. Like this is the kind of thing that like you would probably see in like future alternate shows as like and become more marketable. Like this is definitely I think like the prototypical like Ultra Series kaiju as like a mascot thing. And also I think there's another one of those later this. Actually, I think all of the ones we have this year probably this session probably count as like things that Super Raya can market in terms of like kaiju's mascots. Like the design of this one is just.
I wrote one note for this episode, and it was that the monster looks like what would happen if Salad Fingers got a pine cone pregnant.
Oh, no!
God, no!
Why
have you said this?
It is the year...
Because it's true.
Why is the year 2023? We're bringing up Salad Fingers?
No!
Look, I mean, look at those fucking fingers.
I can't anymore. Oh, no. I loved him. Oh, dear.
I mean, I still love him.
So when are we getting the monster that looks like a strong bad?
Yes.
Jin finds a creature that can somehow type while wearing boxing gloves.
See, the thing is that when I said I think I like this episode, the reason I said that is because, honestly, my only real... And, like, I just watched this last night, but my only real recollection of it is I liked it when the funny monster suit flopped around and, like, he waves his arms in the funniest fucking ways.
Yeah.
And then at the end, he falls on his face in a way that is just so relatable.
It's just funny. Like, they just do the dramatic scene of him tearing down the dam, and then he doesn't even, like, leave. He just flops over. It's just like, oh.
Yes. He destroys that dam. And then just kind of dances around a little bit, and then done.
I think
and there's some good miniature work this episode, like with the bridge breaking, and like the boat being launched.
I really liked the like it's like not really important, but like when like the two tourist ladies were on the boat and they looked down and they saw the village underwater. By the way, there sure is a village that got flooded by this dam. But anyway,
yes,
not related to the kaiju, but also related to kaiju. But also the government just did that.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be related to the kite. No, it wasn't. No, came from space. Silly.
I think
silly
plot
fun
wise,
guy from
this
space.
is. I think like just story wise, this is the least going on of anything that we've seen so far. But overall, it was just like, this was an enjoyable time. I guess I don't know.
Also, just thinking like this is probably like the second story I've seen of like Japanese media just depicting that like in the Showa era, the Japanese government would just like allow a village to be flooded for the purposes of building a dam, and I think that's like, dang, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That's like a thing that happened frequently enough for it to show up in like two things I've experienced, and that's like crazy.
Yeah, dams. A lot happens. A lot happening around the construction of dams.
Yeah,
so it's always just like kind of fucked up. I can't. But
I kept waiting for the dam to be relevant to what was happening.
Yes.
And it's just not. It's just of...
There was a flood and that was it. But like it didn't actually affect anyone.
The way it's relevant is... I'll clue you in. The way it's relevant is this. It is a signifier of the government destroying the planet. Which incurs the wrath of the aliens... who then do Garadama drop.
Yeah, because the government is like
time to go, Garadama.
Yes, take your dreaded memories with you.
That's the only connection that I have. That's the best I can do.
I also like. Okay. I was kind of thrown for a loop when they just. Maybe I missed something. They just are suddenly calling it Garadama, and I was like, where did this come from? I don't know if I missed something or
they said at some point they said that Garadama is like the local village name for meteors.
Okay, I completely missed that.
I think
my bad.
I think the monster is called Garamon, I think is the name of the kaiju. I went and looked it up.
It's not called Garadama?
Well, Garadama is the meteor, and then it's called Garamon.
Oh, so it's like a meteor and meteorite situation. What?
Well, the monster is called Garamon. The meteor is called Garadama. I don't know. This whatever. It's fine.
It evolves.
Yes,
it has an evolution. There we go.
You use Moonstone and it evolves.
Yep. I just love the monster. I just think he's cute.
He's a ton of fun.
I liked the when Yuriko was at like the lab and she was like, there's a lot of like connections between these things. Maybe they're related. And the other guy's like,
no,
you're talking like a journalist. We're use logic here. And then some guy comes. By the way, the monster came out of the rock, and he's like, what the fuck?
I'm gonna defeat the monster with reason and logic.
I also just love the idea. They keep bringing up the radio waves, and it's I just love this era of science fiction so much, and its vision of advanced communications.
Advanced communications like a high-speed rail with jets on it.
Yeah,
I do think I don't think it. I think it would cost some money to just put like decorative rockets on the side of all trains. But I do think it would be worth it.
True.
I think one guy definitely just died this episode when I think about it.
The guy
driving
the boat, absolutely just dead.
He just doesn't show up. Like the boat goes flying, he's not there. They like Jun and Ippei when they go rescue the two girls.
They did shoot that guy like he was cowering from something that was coming after him. It's a meteorite falling from the sky. So, a meteor falling from the sky.
The effects of where the meteor like lands in like the lake are pretty cool though.
Yes,
like it just boils the entire lake awake, and it's crazy.
It's pretty sick. But yeah, unfortunately, there isn't all that much to talk about.
I thought to start this episode this would be like a Professor Ichinotani focus episode, but I guess he's not a real character when it comes down to it.
He doesn't. He shows up to pretend to know things again.
I really want to edit together the meteor from this episode falling over the scenes of the fifth Luna drop from Char's Counterattack.
Absolutely.
Just like a Garurumon while Beyond the Time plays.
Yes. Yeah. It would be fantastic.
I like how we also have not as iconic as the warning for the saltwater snail lovers, but I do like how the narrator at the end goes, "Well, there's going to be a second and a third invasion. Stay tuned."
Wait,
and then it just ends.
Wait, this is it. This is the one that's fine. Oh no, it's freshwater. No, we don't have confirmation.
Yeah,
it could have died in the sea. We don't know. No way of knowing.
So yeah, that's my question too. Are these different aliens than the slug, or is this?
I have to assume they're different aliens because
we don't even know if they're related. But also, as we'll see next episode, apparently the show has continuity now. So maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was losing it. On that note, let's get into episode 14. Episode 14 is called Tokyo Ice Age.
What a fucking title, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Tokyo Airport freezes. Oh, by the way, if I get anything wrong, because I wrote the summary like a couple of days after I watched the episode, so you step in. You feel free to interrupt. Tokyo Airport freezes. Planes crash, and a familiar black cloud soars overhead. This freak weather event is the hot new story, but Yuriko is hunting for her own scoop. She meets a kid named Haruo, searching for his dad, who came to Tokyo to find work 6 months ago. Like a true hero, she decides to use this kid for her own gain. But the moment she takes her eyes off Haruo, he's gone. Seki gives her the task of finding a new angle on this big freeze. The working theory is that this weather is getting blown to Japan from Antarctica. And we need to talk to someone
specifically because glaciers
Yeah.
from Antarctica moved northward?
Because like something about like U.S. Soviet nuclear tests or something.
Yeah, it's something about nuclear testing, glacial movements, freak weather events. Stop testing nuclear weapons, please, dear God. These shows are so expensive to make. The suits cost so much money. Where was I? Oh yes, Seki wants Yuriko to go talk to someone who's been to the South Pole. Does Yuriko know anyone who has been to the South Pole? Meanwhile, Jun finds a man sleeping in his plane, and he won't wake up. It looks like he's been drinking. Ippei think he recognizes him, and the two carry him indoors. Yuriko visits to ask Jun about Antarctica, and I think it's here that they start to wonder whether this weather could be related to Peguila. The moment someone said this, I was like, wait, no. For real?
And they also specifically say that his trip was a year ago.
Yeah,
which also gives us like a time scale for the show, which blew my mind.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, so they're kind of wondering, could this weather be related to Peguila? If global warming, well, not global warming, it's nuclear testing, I guess. Yes, if nuclear testing is affecting Peguila's environment, a la Godzilla and also every other kaiju, it might fly north. Yuriko returns to the office, finding and picking up Haruo on the way, and Seki laughs off the Peguila theory. I mean, Peguila in Tokyo. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, he's like, oh, I thought we killed Peguila. It should be fine.
Yeah, and then suddenly
you explicitly did it. He just went away.
Peguila is outside their window.
Yes.
Basically turns to look outside, and there's Peguila, and Tokyo starts freezing. This situation calls for some anti-Peguila moss, but it's only available at one lab in Japan. Yuriko needs to tell Jun to fly there, but the phones are all dead.
I'll also add that, like, Seki is, like, calling to, like, get permission from, like, the Tokyo, like, mayor's office of government to, like, use the moss, and it, like, has, for bureaucratic reasons, he can't get the clearance for it for some reason.
That Shin Godzilla moment.
Shin Godzilla
years before its time.
Shin Godzilla moment, but this is like the head of a newspaper calling up the mayor, being like, "Hey, can I get some of that anti-Peguila moss, please?"
Much smaller scale.
It's so funny. The phones are all dead. Yuriko can't call Jun. She piles in a car with Seki and Haruo, and they all get trapped when Peguila blasts them with the anti-gravity breath. They can only get the door wide enough for Haruo to escape. They get it wide enough for more than Haruo to escape. But this is every movie where this happens. It's always slightly wide enough to escape. It's fine. They send Haruo to the airfield, and he has to personally evade Peguila on the way. Can't be fun for Haruo. Meanwhile,
the way they shoot it is legitimately like it sells it really well too.
Yes.
It's a good bit.
It's good. Like, it's like just like those. It's got big feet. It's like you're gonna get squished. It's not nice. Meanwhile, Jun and Ippei have their own problems. The guy they found sleeping in their plane has woken up and is now pointing a gun at them. And he explains, well, I was going to steal your plane, but I dozed off. Ippei remembers where he recognizes this man. He's Sawamura, the famous X-Zero pilot from the war. Sawamura insists he's just a jewel thief, and he definitely doesn't care about this whole Tokyo Ice Age situation. Then Haruo falls through the door, half frozen to death, and Sawamura is like, "My son!
Yes.
I must help immediately." Haruo delivers the message, and Jun wants to fly to pick up the anti-Peguila moss, but Sawamura points at some scary-looking clouds and says, "Only I can fly in this weather," and makes the journey himself. He picks up a big tub of the substance that's in anti-Peguila moss, and then puts it on the seat next to him in his plane.
The moss also has explosives in it, I will add.
Okay.
They do explicitly say this.
Yes, I had forgotten that they put explosives in it. So yes, they mix anti-Peguila moss with explosives. He puts it next to his plane, next to him in the plane, and then flies it directly into Peguila's face.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Peguila once again flies away, leaving the possibility that he might come back for a third episode. The gang waves Haruo off as he catches a train home with his father's ashes. In the history of bad dads, this is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My man immediately says, "Oh, my son, I have abandoned you for so long. I must quickly abandon you again."
For good.
Yeah, everything's
Listen,
fine now.
there's hard decisions to be made when Peguila's attacking.
I will say, I'll be honest, I felt a bit weird about the ending of the episode.
Same.
Also because, I don't know, maybe a Japanese production in the 60s, or just at any time really, having a former Zero plane pilot specifically doing a heroic sacrifice by crashing their plane into something is maybe a bit fraught. I don't know.
Yeah.
I fell asleep last night looking into this because I had a feeling this would come up, and I also felt very like about how this all plays out. Because honestly, too, before this, I had no idea what. For Japanese veterans that returned from World War II, I had no idea how they were treated, and that was just a blind spot for me, so I wanted to look up exactly what went on there. And what I had found is that apparently a lot of the actual survivors did have trouble finding work and did feel like they didn't really fit back into society. People didn't really want to have anything to do with them. So him becoming a jewel thief, and also too, I don't remember if the recap covered it, but Ippei does read an article in the news before that guy shows up stating that like there was a huge like jewel heist in Ginza or something, I think.
Oh, right.
too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So clearly this is what this dude ended up doing after the war is he just can't find work and he turned to crime. But the prevailing thing that I saw from a lot of I mean, again, too, I'm just doing some random work on the internet. I'm not going to pretend I did like a big fucking deep dive here. But a lot of the reception to soldiers returning from World War II in Japan seemed to be that those that died in the war were held in high regard as martyrs for a lost cause, whereas those that came back were kind of seen more as a burden. So for this episode to kind of end on the note of he gets to die, he gets to do the heroic sacrifice and make things right was really fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
Overall, I wanted to like this episode, but all of that stuff towards the end made me kind of, I don't know, it made me kind of grin and bear it. It didn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that angle of it's yeah. I guess in the situation where he gets to actually have like a heroic sacrifice, it's not actually that sympathetic to his situation then. No.
Yeah, it is also just like a bit awkward when I we recall like what Super Ai's job was during the war.
This also.
I think this is also a blind spot for me. What did they do during the war?
Oh no, I talked about it in like the first episode in the part of the background, but like Super Ai, because he was working at Toho during the war, had to do propaganda films for.
That's right. Okay, yes.
And I don't know how much this like is reflective of his actual beliefs. Sometimes you work for part of the system and you're fine with it, and sometimes you do it because you have a job to do, and doing the opposite is dangerous.
There is that guy who made the Momotaro propaganda movies, who before and after the war was like extremely left wing, and like was involved in like communist film like associations before the war, and then like got arrested and like tortured for days, and then eventually makes really successful propaganda movies during the war. And it's like, how much of the there's no way to know how much of this is whether he has a gun to his head or not.
And I mean, hey, as someone who works in the automotive industry for a living, don't look up what any Italian or German automotive manufacturer was doing.
It's okay. I'll look up what Ford was doing during that time.
Oh yeah. That one's normal too.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Jesus Christ, everything's terrible.
It is definitely complicated. It's I guess it's like it's hard to tell what his actual beliefs were, and ideally, I like to think he wasn't that bad of a guy, but also,
yeah.
Well, I don't think Soraya was like, a communist or anything. So
yeah. That's that's fine. I'm enjoying the TV he made.
yeah, we're not here to say actually Ultra Q is canceled. Actually,
yeah. well. What is it? American Prometheus thinks everyone's been coming after Ultra Q these days.
Yeah. This is why the only time I tweet about my Ultra Q experience is on Truth Social.
Exactly. But yeah, that's like the main sticking point in this episode is that stuff. I think I also just think it's just extremely like rushed. He is like awake for like 5 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
He's basically not in it.
Sometimes
he gets over that hangover in record time.
Sometimes
yes.
Sometimes it is cool how Ultra Q can do like a 30-minute Godzilla episode, and sometimes you realize there is a reason why Godzilla movies are movies.
Yeah, Godzilla movie is a movie so that Dr. Serizawa confrontation can be like 20 minutes long. Yeah, the otherwise I thought this episode was really Peguila wrecking Tokyo is so cool.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's some of the best monster violence we've gotten from the show.
The effects of just like the plane flying to the storm and getting frozen over was really cool too.
Yes, it was. Yeah, a very, very impressive episode just to watch. Yeah.
And again, its footsteps caving in the ground and like the kid tumbling is just like it's frightening.
Yes. Oh, God, the monster stuff is so cool. I was just like it. I get why this show was like the most expensive thing on television at the time. They're just fucking wrecking shit every week.
Yeah. How do we all feel about the fact that a monster came back? Because honestly, I was not expecting it. I'm super down for it.
Yeah, I am too. Like,
Yes.
it makes me excited for like what is even in the future. Because I mean,
Jun has a rival.
that's true.
Yes, but this show needed a Virgil to Jun's Dante.
Well, last week we were wondering, Pokemon terms, who's Gary? Here it is, it's Peguila.
Pokemon, but if like instead of Gary, Ash just had to face like an angry Blastoise every few months.
Yeah,
I think the real crime of this show is that Peguila is not the character with the title Daddy Walrus.
Oh no.
Oh,
That is really weird.
yeah.
Well,
There's only one Daddy Walrus in my heart. It's the one that caused the Tokyo Ice Age.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I will just say, yeah, it's interesting because I obviously we're gonna get more like one-offs as we'll see in the next episode, but is like the idea we'll have a few more. It seems like maybe there is going to be a build up towards like some sort of like actual conclusion, like they're planting the seeds of something. I think, especially because
I'm trying to think now. What other monsters weren't dealt with?
Yeah, a
Kuro's coming back.
bunch of them did just die.
Yeah. That kid's bird, Kuro, he could come back.
He could.
The bird can come back.
but
the Sasquatch is still on the moon.
Yeah. I mean, didn't they
Mega
say
Man.
what didn't like the
True.
yeah. Yeah, fuck. The M in M1 stands for Mega Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, they're clearly like planning something with like, oh, the aliens are sending the kaiju, and also one kaiju came back, so like it's like I think like they are setting up like a plot maybe in the second half. Like every few episodes we'll get like something building towards something. Like I feel like the last two episodes will probably be like a culmination of something. Just to find.
And now that I think about it, and not to get too far ahead, but sometimes it's worth talking about the physical reality of watching these shows. We are now on disc 3 of the Blu-ray set, and I do, just going through the menus, know that one of those episodes is called, like, Something Returns. I can't remember what exactly is returning, but there is an episode title that implies that something's coming back.
We're gonna get Jun and Peguila having a fist fight on top of a Metal Gear.
Oh, that would rule.
Rules of nature play.
Oh, it would be so cool. I think if Peguila comes back in future Ultra stuff. I think those are episodes where Jun also has to come back. I'm making a rule now.
If Peguila's demise does not come from Jun's hands, what was the point?
Yeah.
Precisely.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember which ones show up again in the future, and I won't say which ones do.
Oh, shit. Wait a minute. This episode's referenced in Shin Ultraman.
Oh, yeah. Peguila was mentioned, but, like, we didn't know the context of, like, Peguila in Tokyo.
Yeah, because I remember, like, Peguila attacks and causes, like, an ice age. That's, like, fun or whatever, because, it's, like, the Antarctic monster. But no, like, that's a direct callback to what happens here.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I remember because, like, the one thing that I had seen Ultra-related was, like, the first 2 episodes of Ultra Q. So when that reel happened at the beginning of Shin Ultraman, I was like, oh, this is cool. This is presumably all a bunch of Ultra Q stuff. Because I recognize, like, one of them. Yeah. Well, do we have anything else about episode 14, or should we take another trip to Dragon Palace?
Yeah.
What I'll say with my thoughts on this episode is, goddamn, did I want to like it, but it just left me feeling very lukewarm with the actual human element of this, which is depressing, because I love the monster component of this episode is incredible and some of the best work I think that Ultra Q has done in terms of that stuff, but the actual human component just fell so flat for me, and I feel like that's a depressing reality that you get with a lot of kaiju stuff sometimes, and it was bound to happen eventually, but, it is how it is.
It is how it is.
Yeah. Well, all right then. Let's move on to episode 15. Kanegon's Cocoon. Kaneo is a kid who thinks about nothing but money. He struts about accompanied by attendants, like waving palm fronds and carrying parasols for him. Like all that kind of thing.
Yeah, at the kid auction where they find molted snake skins and steal chicken eggs and sell them to each other.
Yeah, he and his friends survey some scrap at a construction site looking for anything good. Someone finds a coin and Kaneo takes it and claims it as his find. He boasts that if he finds just one more, he'll have found 1,000 of them. Someone finds a weird egg with something rattling inside. It could be a coin. Kaneo takes it. A bulldozer, driven by Dick Dastardly, arrives to scare away the kids. Now, I don't know if the kids have named the bulldozer Daddy Walrus or the guy driving it Daddy Walrus, but either way, this is Daddy Walrus.
He's got
It's very concerning. I think it's because of his mustache.
It is his mustache.
It could be the mustache. Anyway, Daddy Walrus drives over the scrap.
And their bikes.
As well as a few of the kids' bikes, which is rude. Kaneo returns home, and his parents warn him that if he keeps picking up other people's lost money, he'll turn into a Kanegon. Kaneo has never heard of a Kanegon, and his parents have to quickly make up an unbelievable monster with a Martian's body and eyes on stalks and a head shaped like a coin purse, and instead of food, it eats money. Kaneo thinks that sounds pretty stupid and returns to his room, where the weird egg has now grown to be bigger than him. Kaneo's pretty stoked about being rich, and he goes fishing through the egg's innards for coins, but gets pulled inside. The egg is his cocoon, and a weird, trippy sequence happens, and the next morning Kaneo has become a Kanegon, exactly as his parents described. After some persuading, and maybe a little bribery, Kaneo convinces his friends to help him out. They give him coins to eat, and they watch a yen counter on his chest tick up. It's fantastic. If he hits 0, he might die.
Yeah, we see it ticking down later.
But his friends are only kids. They're not made of money. They seek help from God, and they visit a priestess who scares the shit out of them. She explains that when Daddy Walrus is upside down, Kaneo will get his wish. The kids think this advice sucks and get back to moping. There's a brief interlude where Kaneo runs off and eats dropped coins near a bank by himself, and his parents are brought in by the cops to collect him. But when they get there, Kaneo has already fled the scene.
It is extremely funny that the cops hey, I think I found your kid, the monster.
Yes. Just opens the door, just child is eating coins by the bank. Also, secondary information, has a coin purse head. Kaneo has already fled the scene when they arrive, but his parents pick up a few of the coins he left behind. Important for later.
Yes.
At the construction site, Kaneo is in despair as he tries and fails to learn some tricks so that he can make a little money putting on a show.
The kids are like all about like, hey, this kid's annoying. We don't care about it anymore. Maybe we could sell him to the zoo or the lab.
They're so mean.
They're really terrible to this kid.
I mean, to be fair, right? Now, let's remove the part where I just said to be fair, as though I'm about to say it's fine to do any of that. He was an asshole. He did have people waving like fans at him and holding parasols for him, and he wore like a turtle shell as a crown. Weird kid, IMO.
Honestly, yeah. The vibes are off.
Yeah, sometimes the kid has bad vibes. Yeah, Daddy Walrus attacks, and the kids scram. Kaneo hides in a hole, covering himself with newspaper, and the guy with the ridiculous evil villain mustache pulls him out of the ground and is surprised to find a monster instead of a child. He flees back to the bulldozer, and in his panic, he can't get it to work right. He drives in circles before slipping down a slope, flipping the bulldozer. The driver is thrown from the bulldozer and hangs upside down from like a tree branch. It's not that steep a slope. Anyway, this is enough to satisfy God, and Kaneo the Kanagon rockets up into the air as though he were returning to his home planet. My voice broke, it was so funny.
I thought this kid was fucking dead.
He's just a seagull.
He launches into the atmosphere.
It's okay, he's just a seagull.
Yeah, he's just a seagull now. They made a little model of him and then stuck a firework up him and just sent him up into the sky. And the kids see Kaneo eject from the Kanagon and parachute back to Earth. Kaneo is elated, but when he returns home to tell his parents, both of them have become Kanagon because they picked up the coins that were other people's. Moral lesson: do not pick up coins.
No.
I love this episode.
I also love this. Every time we get these weird little offshoots where it's just wacky shit happening with kids, it's such a good time.
Yeah. I feel like the Dragon Palace episode is still like crazier because of the gangster stuff. But I feel like I feel like this episode learned some of the lessons from the episode, because I don't know if it was intentional, but I feel like the moral is more clear and also more justified.
Because, like, that kid from Dragon Palace was not telling lies.
Yes.
And also, this episode knows enough to just... Jun and the gang don't need to be here, and they aren't here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to note that too.
It's great.
It's like... I was impressed that they don't show up even for like their little bit that they usually have in these types of episodes. They're just not here at all.
Yeah, we don't have to, process what these events are like from their perspective at all. We don't have, there is no reality to relate to.
We don't need Yuriko coming to the bank and being like, oh, there's someone eating money, and then they make fun of Ippei about something.
Yeah. Ippei, you probably eat money too,
well,
don't you?
Importantly,
you're stupid.
June doesn't have a plane. They can't get anywhere now.
Oh,
they
have to stuck.
That's, you know what? There's continuity now, so maybe that is the thing.
Yeah.
And they can't take out a loan to buy a plane because all of the coins in the bank have been devoured.
Every time he puts down the phone,
question.
Someone
What
calls.
would happen if Kanagon ate the alien slug eggs? If he broke into the bank vault and ate the eggs, what would happen?
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Oh man, this gets more and more complicated every day.
It does.
I'm surprised you didn't see a bank robbery happen.
No.
Yeah, he's no robbers around, but we do have the man with the most villain mustache in the world.
He's such a cartoon villain. He's like twisting his. He's the guy who would twirl his mustache because he has a mustache to twirl.
He's just. Why is he doing this? To scare away the kids.
He just
to scare
enjoys.
the kids
He
out
lives.
of
What is he doing? What is he? Was he building something? I don't know. He just likes.
I was trying to figure that out too. He just seems to like tormenting these kids.
Why are they wearing
weird.
like these striped? They're wearing these striped construction suits too. Like I don't know what the stripes are for, but
yeah, like I called it a construction site. I don't know that they're building anything. They're just. It's just a. It looks like just a quarry or something. I don't know. He's out to scare some kids. He loves
massive
to scare
Robbie
kids.
Rotten from Lazy Town vibes from
yes.
this guy.
I think it's amusing that we have this episode about a guy who just needs more and more coins, and also we have this terrible guy who just looks like Wario.
Yes.
It's good. It's good. I gestured to it in the summary. I really like they're continuing to be kind of goofy with the designs on these weird episodes. Like, you know, we had the turtle with the speedometer and the indicators. This time, you know, the moment when they say, "Hey, look, when he eats the money, the counter goes up," and zoom in on like 128 yen. It's like, no way.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Yeah. I will say also, as a monster design, Kanagon, and much like Garurumon, definitely feels like this is a mascot-esque design. Like, it definitely...
Yeah.
I see...
It's a good look.
I see the seeds forming.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He's, I like that I kind of skipped a couple of minutes there in the summary, because his reaction to turning into Kanagon is to kind of just go about his life as usual for a bit and see if it works.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, but also at the same time, people react to it with
so
less
normally.
shock than you would maybe expect.
I feel like
people are just kind of on the streets like, oh, it's a monster van.
I feel like the reaction Kanagon gets to going around is the same energy as like in Digimon Tamers when they just bring Guillemon around and people are just like,
yes.
oh, hey.
Oh, it's a big toy.
These kids just make fun of him for having like a sandwich head or something, and he just like ponders his existence on a cliff somewhere.
Yeah.
So someone talks to him like he's a man in a suit, and the man in the suit has to turn down to look at the kid while the child actor presumably says in a studio, "I'm not a man, I'm a child."
I also spat out my water when the parents are warning the boy about, oh, you're gonna turn into a Kanagon or whatever. The dad just goes, oh, also he has a tail like Godzilla, and I'm like, you can't do that. Yes. This is breaking my reality.
He's got ridges like Godzilla. That just means that someone saw Gomez and went, oh damn, it looks like Godzilla.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I guess he's allowed to do that. I guess
is the one person
he's already borrowing. He's already borrowing all of their stuff. He may as well just also name drop their IPs that he worked on.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm just imagining like the last batch of episodes that bird flying around. People are like, "Wow, it's just like Rodan."
Yeah, I do feel weird about the dad's mustache. Is like what? I did double take when I saw it.
Yeah,
there
a
was
lot of mustache action happening this episode. It's a thing.
Yeah, there was just a period where that mustache was kind of normal, like even after World War II.
I can see.
I don't know where the line is actually on when people decide
when that
became
when that became the dedicated. Oh, this looks too much like Hitler mustache. Yeah.
I don't know when it happened, but funnily enough, it wasn't after the war.
maybe in Japan it took a bit more to die off because of reasons.
Oh yeah, this is possible.
That also makes sense.
That is also possible
in Japan specifically.
Looking up what Japan World War II. What could you possibly be referring? It's I really like the effect, like the jump from, oh hey look, Daddy Walrus is upside down, and then me going, okay, so does Kaneo now turn back into?
Yeah, I was wondering how this transformation was going to happen.
Cut straight back to Kanagon, sparks fly, ascends into the sky,
and the kid's just like, oh, there's a parachute, and then they just go fine. Just this shot of like a parachute. It's just so ridiculous.
So, update, I tried to find as much info as I can about this mustache style and its its prevalency in Japan. The only thing I found is that there was a guy who wore it on TV in 2014 in Japan, and it prompted a lot of online discussion, and that's all I could find about this.
Oh boy.
No, that's too late. That's too late.
That is too late. I mean, it's shouldn't have been like that to begin with, but there is a point.
It's so funny. Oh man.
Yeah, it was the frontman for it's the band Southern All Stars.
No, I've never heard of this band.
Wore it on a televised appearance, and a bunch of people online were like, "Hey, why?" And that's all I could find.
I'd love to know what his answer was, but unfortunately, I can't read Japanese. Yeah, that's funny. I just think this episode's good.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
Yeah, I like Kaneo learning his lesson and then running back home and finding immediately that his parents both gave in as well. They were both greedy too.
He's just like, oh, you too. Oh.
I think this is my third favorite behind the Baron Spider and Dragon Palace episodes. I like this one a lot.
Nice.
I wonder if we'll get more episodes like Baron Spider or like the giant plant one, because when I think about it, like the last stretch of episodes have almost all had kids in them.
Yeah.
We had
Like I think the balloon episode last week was like the last one we had without a kid in it, and then before that it was just like Baron Spider, and then now we're just we just gonna have a kid every episode now? That's what I'm wondering. I mean, I feel like
it's also one of those things too where I feel like I mean, kind of in the same vein as like the original Kamen Rider, like when you get these like all family, productions or family friendly productions and all that, like there's no shortage of kids that want to be in on these things.
Yeah.
And, like, they like throwing them in when they can. So, but it would be cool. It's been a bit since we've had like I don't know, because I guess the Peguila thing was kind of a big disaster piece episode too, but it wasn't in the same way as like the Mammoth Flower was.
Yeah.
But I would like something that breaks the mold a little bit more again, like the Baron Spider episode. I'm sure we'll get it, but it has been a minute.
Yeah, love a ghost story. I was a big fan of Balloon. I was a big fan of the particular type of design, the thing that Balloon was going. I think Balloon, my ideal version of the thing from space, with middle of that being the sort of ropey thrown together episode 3, and the bottom tier being the first of these 3 episodes today, which has a very cool guy, but also nothing happened.
Nothing. It is. I have a feeling it'll be the least discussed episode on this podcast, and for good reason, because it's just there's no sauce.
They set up stuff. They were like, oh yeah, the village got sunk when they built the dam. Oh, this is gonna be juicy. No, it's not. They're just never gonna bring it up again.
Yeah, this rock has waves. Okay, we built like a net.
Yeah, we put it in a cage. It's done now.
It just ends so anticlimactically.
We found the answer to how to stop drone warfare.
Yeah,
just gotta put a basket over the computer.
Exactly. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. Do we have any more about episode 15, Kanagon's Cocoon?
No, I like it. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Kanagon's cute. I don't like the name Daddy Walrus, but
I managed not to laugh once when I said the name Daddy Walrus. I'm quite proud of myself. Yeah. Okay. I think in that case, I'm gonna go straight into plugs. We are already like an hour and a half.
Our longest episode yet.
Listen, Peguila needed the appreciation.
True.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how
Truly an all-time guy.
Yes. Now I need the Peguila versus whatever his name was. I can't remember it right now.
How can you forget?
Mephiles.
Yeah.
How could I forget?
I'm looking forward to Mephiles and Ultraman.
Yeah.
What happens if we get to him and he's just not as cool?
I mean, I in a way I kind of expect that, but also I feel like there'll be charm in its own way that we'll have to appreciate as like a thing of the 60s, obviously. So
true.
Like they're just like things that I don't think they do in the 60s that they'd obviously do in like the 20s.
It's like it's like if you watch that the pilot episode of Columbo. He hasn't quite got Columbo right.
Yeah.
But you can very...
I need to actually sit down and watch Columbo.
I have seen both pilots of Columbo, and I will in the past month, and I will continue watching Columbo. But
yeah,
I've watched like stray episodes, but I just need to go.
Yeah,
through
I forgot. I watched like I did watch the second pilot of Columbo in the past week, and that has some interesting effect choices, like fading from a woman's eyes into like transposing their the car headlights, and also Windows Movie Maker red splatter from blood covering the camera. I don't know. There's some choices in that one.
But yeah, the like Mephiles, what I can do is, with Columbo, with the pilot, you can just be like, oh, well, the character himself hasn't quite got Columbo right yet. He's because the persona, he's got to get into it. This is an early stage. That's going to be me with Mephiles when Mephiles comes around. I'm going to be like, well, he hasn't got it yet, but he will. I trust him. So yeah, that is Ultra Q this week. If you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can at Ultra_Q. That is at Ultra_QUEUE. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do it so at gender_redacted. Who wants to go next?
You can find me at Rosenbrand on Twitter. You can also go check out my YouTube channel if you're really itching for some Babylon's Fall video content.
Who isn't?
Yeah.
Who isn't?
More people watched that stream and the VOD than people watched my last FF14 ones, bizarrely. I was kind of impressed. But I am trying to platinum Babylon's Fall before that game dies forever. I don't give a fuck about trophies, but I think it'd be very funny to say that one of the few platinum trophies I do have belongs to Babylon's Fall.
You're right, it would be pretty funny.
It would be funny.
Yes. So, that game is dog shit. Oh my, I can't talk about Babylon's Fall. It is the worst thing Platinum has ever made. I am baffled that got released. Holy shit. But yeah, go watch that. All of the free thinkers and Joe Rogan listeners listening to this podcast can find me at the Unbalanced Zone under my pseudonym American Prometheus that I have to use, or else the deep state actors will find me and I'll be taken out.
Just put a mesh over your head. They won't get you with the waves thing.
Yeah, that's true. They can't get me that way. And then also now you can subscribe to my OnlyFans, Daddy Walrus. That should be it for me.
This is terrible. Oh my god.
I'm going to make this bit worse every goddamn week, trust me.
Okay. My Twitter's slam-I at the moment, but don't worry about it. I guess, technically speaking, I've been using Twitch more lately to play games. I don't have my mic set up for that because I don't care to talk on stream, but yeah, I guess if you want to follow my Twitch, my Twitch is Cosmic_Crown, all lowercase. Also, we have an email address that no one has sent emails to yet. ultraqpod@gmail.com. Someone's saying something eventually, hopefully. But yeah.
You know what? I will say, if you are listening to this and you're following along with us watching this show, which I hope there's at least one or two people doing so far.
Yeah, I feel like
just reach out. Let us know how you feeling about the show. I hope you're enjoying as much as I am.
There is
we'll shame you every week until you do.
Yeah, like I get like look at the Anchor FM like statistics. There's definitely like a group of people who follow us, but also it's like, dang, I want some feedback here.
Yeah,
it's like I see these numbers on a graph. I get nothing from them.
Feedback. Really liked the Mega Man chat this week. I know literally nothing about Mega Man.
Well, I think you need to.
I
fix this.
do think it's interesting though. I literally didn't know that the Legends games existed.
Yeah,
That is so
it's
wild.
they are technically speaking the last game in the timeline, even though there is essentially no reason for them to even be in the same timeline.
That is funny.
They also did like a bunch of like early 3D game design stuff before a lot of the games that are credited for
Yeah.
pioneering stuff did too,
Like-
which is interesting to me.
Yeah, they do. I think they do need a nice quality of life update. Like, they're not bad games by any means, but I do think it'd make it more approachable.
They also have the surf bots, which are just as a Scrimblow appreciator, those are so
Also, just
fun
like
Scrimblows.
really aesthetically really nice. Just capturing really nice, like low poly animated self feel that just like some. I'm a fan of like low poly 3D, and like some